This can be one of the most impactful videos you'll see about Dubai that is on the internet. I'm going to be sharing with you the 7 big health issues you can have living in Dubai, how exactly you can solve them, and how you can live in this country, which is the best country in the world, and enjoy everything it has to offer, starting with health issue number 1. Health issue number 1 is chronic dehydration, even if you drink loads of water. Now, why does this happen in Dubai? Obviously, it's very, very hot, in particular in the summer months. There's high amounts of humidity, and you may well be drinking loads of water and think you're getting yourself hydrated. However, one of the things that you find out is that the water, like this, the bottled water, what they actually do is they take out the majority of all of the salt and the sodium from them. So, for example here, sodium less than X amount. I'm not quite sure why they do that here, but that would be an example in terms of why this creates kind of an issue. So, one of the things I recommend people do, and generally from a health perspective you should do anyway, is drink from glass bottled water. There's a specific brand that I've just run out with, it begins with an F, they come in a red box. I'll put it on screen. I'd recommend using, I order on Amazon. If not, San Pellegrino is like the white girl rosé of water that I actually quite like. To go with that, to replace the lack of salt that you have, I'd highly recommend that you add a lot of salt to your food. So when I was bodybuilding back in the day, maybe 2-3 years ago when I first moved here, I was getting a lot of dehydration, a lot of cramping. So I actually had to add 12 grams of pink Himalayan salt to my food every single day. I still salt my food, but not as heavily as I would previously. What I use now is I would just use electrolytes maybe 2-3 times a day to kind of heavily offset the salts I'm losing throughout the day. Now, where this can cause problems is poor gym performance if you're dehydrated. One of the things most people don't understand if you're an entrepreneur is your lack of focus or clarity is often because you're highly dehydrated. So one of the reasons you need to take electrolytes late in the afternoon is to try and solve some of these problems. So that's a very easy hack to the situation. Health issue number 2 is living almost entirely indoors and just relying on air conditioning. It's very, very easy in Dubai to spend your entire life inside your house, in your office, inside the gym, inside the shopping mall. You go from air conditioning room to air conditioning room to air conditioning room and you never actually get fresh air. So this can cause some issues in terms of like sinus problems, dry throat, eyes, and a reduction in terms of sleep quality for some people. So there's some very easy ways to kind of improve this. I'd recommend everyone in the UAE has air purifiers, dehumidifiers would be the first 2 things that I would look at. So I would have those dotted throughout your house. And what's wild is when you see the amount of water that these pull out from the air is mad. The second thing is you can actually get plants that you can put in your house that can actually purify the air. So there's where I got them from plantsworld.ae, and they have an indoor air purifying plant section, and I just stocked up and bought like a plant for every room. Now, from a science point of view, to have enough plants to actually try and make a significant difference, you'd basically have to live in the Amazonian jungle with the amount of plants you'd have in your house. But I think it's probably a good thing to have some kind of plants in there. And I think it also makes you feel maybe more at home if you're also from Northern Europe in that respect. Now, if you live in an apartment, one of the things you want to do is make sure that you get your ACs cleaned frequently because they have filters on them that remove dust and things in the air. So in particular in the summer, there's a lot of sand in the air that you're going to be breathing in. So you want to try and pull that through and get that cleaned out. And ultimately, it's just about being proactive. Sometimes there is even weather warnings where they don't recommend running or exercising outside because you can actually see kind of like the haze in the sky with like sandstorms. Now, do I abide to that and listen to it? Not really. And have I been running in July, August at night when it's really humid and the air quality is probably not great? Yes, but I'm also a fit young guy. So I'd recommend you don't need to live in fear that you can't go outside, but the point of this video is to try and look at things you can do to improve this. So 1 would be get your air filters cleaned, 2 would be have air purifiers and dehumidifiers in your apartment, and 3 is if you can have some things like plants that help to naturally clean the air. These will all combine to have a positive effect. The last thing I'm also going to say is try to go outside at some point every single day, because a lot of people don't actually do this. I think in Dubai it's probably easier than anywhere else. Just go from AC to AC to AC. Health issue number 3 is relying on long-term, lower quality food that's imported into Dubai. Now, this is something most people don't realize, the amount of food that's maybe imported even from places like New Zealand, like lamb, stuff that comes from Portugal, France, from Europe, is wild. Beef from Australia, like lamb here, this is from Australia, for example. Now, these meats, when they're actually brought into the country, also have radiation in terms of whether it's X-rayed and scanned they're coming in, which if you're having that over and over and over again, is going to kind of have a cumulative effect. Also, if you're an eco-warrior, not that I particularly am, probably not the best thing for the environment to be importing food from the other side of the planet to exactly where you're living. So one of the things you can do to help this situation from your own health perspective and also from an environmental perspective is to try and choose food that actually comes locally. And there is a lot of stuff that actually is grown and produced in the UAE or in the Middle East region that isn't shipped from miles away. And even if you look at things like seafood, for example, on the other side of the coast from the UAE, you have Oman. There's a lot of seafood you can get from the sea there, from the Indian Ocean, which is completely different than what they have available maybe locally in Dubai. And it's only a couple of hours away from the transport side of things. So that would be a very easy fix rather than having stuff that's mass imported from the other side of the planet. Although Dubai does this logistically better than any other place in the world, which quite frankly, I think is actually an amazing business thing that they managed to do, is to get, I don't know, like Alaskan like crab turn up and it's fresh, like from the other side of the planet the next day. How you quite frankly do that like on repeat and it's there every day, I don't know. So credit to them for the system to do that. Just from a health perspective, it's probably not the greatest thing over and over and over again from what some of those foods could be exposed to longer term. The other issue I've seen is if you get, like anywhere, if you buy the cheapest meats or the cheapest foods, like if you go in Kareem and buy the cheapest chicken breast that's frozen and from who knows where, the likelihood of you having some type of stomach discomfort is going to be much higher than if you buy kind of better quality stuff that's also fresh. So this is no different than if you live in the UK and the US. And I would also say, having spent a lot of time in the US, I think the food quality in the UAE, regardless of you importing it, is far superior than what's available in the US, because whenever I go there, I get constant stomach issues. And if you want to shout out for good high quality meat, there's two places to use. One online, don't buy everything from there at once, is butchershop.ae, and the other one is I go on InstaShop and it's called Chop House, which is actually where I just buy barbecue stuff like this. And the best thing about Dubai, you can get the stuff delivered to your door in like 60 to 90 minutes, super fresh. Health issue number 5 is chronic mineral depletion. Now, this has nothing to do with being dehydrated, just what most people don't realize, if you're constantly sweating all day and getting bitten by mosquitoes like I am right now, then what happens is you tend to lose huge amounts of minerals as you sweat, and also as you go to the toilet and you also drink more. What happens is most people don't actually replace these minerals in their diet or with supplements. So one of the other things you also want to be doing if you're in Dubai is constantly taking plenty of vitamins and minerals into your system, because you are going to sweat more, in particular if you're coming from a climate like Northern Europe, which you don't have this type of heat, because it's going to be a complete different shock to your body. And if you feel maybe like anxiety, low mood, and just feel generally off, this can be one of the core reasons why that you can be completely thrown into a flunk. What I do as well is I throw on the screen right now a list of foods that would be great in terms of high mineral content that you can eat and add into your diet, that are easy to consume every single day whilst in Dubai. Now, do you have to eat the most exotic foods to do this all the time? Like, people tell you to go and eat oysters every day because it's high in zinc and all this type of stuff. Like, it's not practical for you to buy oysters every day. And I live on the Palm, and there's probably people here who do that. But in the real world, the easiest way to do this is just find what you're probably deficient in and then supplement for that. The easiest way to also do this is to get a blood test to see where you have deficiencies, and then you can fill the gap. One of the other beauties of living here from a health perspective, of why Dubai is the pinnacle of health and fitness in the entire world and longevity, is the fact that you can go online on WhatsApp, you can order someone to come to your house and do a blood test whenever you want, and it's not massively expensive. So I get a nurse will come to my house at 6 a.m. to come and take a blood test, and then that's it. I don't even have to leave my house, don't have to go anywhere. I'll literally be in my pajamas, get out of bed, the door will go, bang, they take the blood and off you go, get results in 24 to 48 hours. And this is where you have ease of access to solve any issue you want from a health perspective. And the UAE is one of the leading countries in the world from a medical perspective. Health issue number 6 is just the overall air quality in Dubai. So there's going to be periods through the year, in particular in the summer, where regardless of what you do, the air quality outside is going to be bad. So there's going to be sandstorms, sands in the air, and the humidity is going to be very high. Now with humidity, you tend to get the sand stick to it, which can cause problems. So the easiest way to then solve this for you is, one, probably not run around and exercise when the pollution in the air is very high. There are warnings for the weather that comes up from that. The second thing I would also look at is making sure you have air purifiers in your house. These are the simplest things you can do. Third, will be actually getting your ACs and filters cleaned within your cars, your apartments, as much as possible to try and remove some of these things from the systems, because it's more a point of trying to take yourself out of the environments where there's really bad air pollution when it does flag up. And majority of the time, this is going to be in the summer, when it's the hottest months, when the humidity tends to increase. Now, the biggest thing that's driving this isn't actually pollution in Dubai, it's just the high desert situation in terms of the way it's designed as having sand. So the sand in the air, if the wind picks up, it's going to collect that and you're going to be breathing in, and it's also very hot and humid. So this doesn't affect many people. People it does affect is probably people who have already existing breathing issues, things like asthma and stuff like that. So these are just things to be aware of, and there are plenty of ways to try and work around them. And the reality is just probably not going outside and running around when it's particularly bad. As with everything in Dubai, they have the best facilities to mitigate anything. So even in the peak heat in the summer, when it's 50 degrees Celsius, like, you can spend the entire day in perfect air conditioned temperature and have absolutely no issues at all. So ultimately it's just about putting yourself in the right environment every single day, and maybe not going out in the peak times when the air pollution is really high. So issue number 7 is continuous exposure to chlorinated water. Now, this is the same thing you're gonna get in any country, whether you live in Spain, Thailand, Mexico, or wherever. If you're constantly going in swimming pools or water that's very heavily filtered. Now, one of the ways to kind of improve the situation is make sure you have decent water filters on your house. So the house here that I live in, when I moved in, I actually changed all the water filters and had better ones put in to try and remove some of the stuff in the water. Second thing, we'd actually be looking at maybe using the sea more than necessarily just swimming pools. The one thing I would say about the sea though in Dubai, it is incredibly salty. So it also, like, regardless if you're drinking the water or you get it in your mouth somehow, however you do that when you're in the sea, you will find you could probably get more dehydrated and your skin will start to dry because there's such a high salt content into the water. So the best thing I would recommend is just making sure that you have high levels of high quality water filters on the things coming into your house or into your apartment to try and filter out what you're bathing in and what you're cleaning your hair in. It's probably the easiest things. And I imagine, unless you're a professional swimmer, you're probably not going in swimming pools every single day. And if you wanted to, probably going in the sea is probably the healthier choice. Do I think it's going to make a dramatic difference to your health? No. Do I think the continuous exposure to maybe some of the tap water could have an impact? Potentially, yes. And I think some women with longer hair do report things like that. Dubai is the greatest city in the world to live in my opinion, but there are some challenges and downsides, as there are with everywhere in the world. So here are some solutions within this video. Be interested to know which one of you found the most helpful. My personal opinion, probably the lowest cost and easiest thing that everyone should implement is probably like an air purifier and dehumidifiers into your homes. If you want to learn more about Dubai and also scaling businesses, check out the other video on screen right now and subscribe for more content like this.